Evertono. Where'd it go? Where am I? Here I am. My goodness, trying to find on my laptop my Live with Tony. Good morning, and we are into another week of April. Not sure how many of you got the opportunity to go out and enjoy the weekend and get out to some sunshine and possibly have a nice picnic. But here we are, Monday, April 13th. And the days just seem to be going by as quickly as I can ever recall. But what I wanted to share today is an article in the Harvard Health Letter that came out in April, for April, talking about the 7 types of rest and why we need all of them. And we think that sleeping is our primary way of restoring energy, but I found this article to be very interesting in the sense of the different types of rest that we must or should go through as a way of restoring our energy and keeping ourselves vibrant and excited and going about. So obviously the first one is our physical rest, feeling fatigued, just being tired, or just not remembering the things that we should be doing. And it basically is the sign is the body's fuel tank is empty. And so sleep is one of the ways we talk about it, but physical movement is important, such as stretching, yoga, or walking, an active form of physical activities. I think of even 2, 3, 5 pound dumbbells, with your arms, doing some squats, sitting up and down in the chair without holding on to armrests. Different things to really focus on your muscle groups, maybe your thighs, maybe you want to do some things for your butt, certainly some things for your upper chest, your shoulders, but different physical activities certainly are a way that involve moving your body and keeping it movement. And so your brain is hearing movement, right? It's what movements I'm going to make, how am I going to make myself feel more energetic? How will I put some more life and some spunk into my body? The second type of rest that the letter talks about is mental rest. And that one we talk about all the time when we talk about stress. We have stress in our lives, and what do we do to minimize the level of stress? And how do you get things that you're ruminating on and it's spinning and spinning, especially if you're sleeping? You're waking up thinking about what I need to do or something I have to get done or something I didn't complete. I thought about that last night, and my goodness, I get up sometimes and think, oh God, I got to get that done, and I got to remember it. Well, one of the things I've learned to do is when I get up and I'm stressed in the middle of the night with something, I have a notepad, I get a pen out, and I scribble out what I'm staying awake thinking about to make sure I don't forget it in the morning, and I write it down. So all I need to remember is what? Go to the notepad. Just remember, I leave it on a counter, and I go to the notepad, and there's what I am trying to make sure I get done the following day. One of which is the memory competition, the things that are coming up to date in terms of dealing with that. Third one that is in the newsletter is spiritual rest. And that was important because it talks about if you feel aimless and you don't feel like you have purpose and you don't feel that there's something that's important to you in your life that's keeping you going, how do you make sure that you're getting spiritual rest? It doesn't mean you need to go to church and have prayer, but it involves connecting with something larger than yourself. So maybe it's time to volunteer for something. Maybe it's time to help a neighbor out. Maybe it's time to reach out to someone with a skill or a benefit. It makes me think of years ago when I first started doing the memory work. I volunteered my services to a local church, and we came into bingo, and we were to try to get the seniors in the church to help with the Boy Scouts and have the seniors teach the scouts either how to fish, how to cook, how to sew, how to do some useful chore. But it involved just getting out into the community and trying to taking benefits of people that had built up skills in their lives and didn't know they weren't using them anymore or didn't find a use or benefit to them. We gave them a purpose. We gave them the reason that they counted for something and they could impact these young children that were in the Boy Scouts. How about sensory rest, number 4? So now we've covered the first 3. How about number 4, sensory? You may be feeling irritable or just fried. Put your devices down. Oh God, this is a tough one. Put your cell phone down. Put your computers down. Maybe shut your iPhone off and ringing and texting. Our natural tendency is to grab a phone or check our emails or do something. Oh, somebody wants to reach out to me. But maybe sometimes just giving your senses a chance to just quiet. Maybe it's just look at a tree or look at a garden or just look at some kids that are playing where you're not taxing yourself to have to remember or be emotionally engaged in something. It's mindful that you understand your sensory stimulations, and this is almost mind-boggling. But sometimes to be a little bored sometimes is not such a terrible, awful thing. And then creative rest. This one was interesting. I found this is interesting in the article. Writer's block is a sign that you lack creative rest. But you might include being stuck or uninspired, regardless of what you're doing present. And that was an interesting point to say, okay, what more can I do? What more can I go out and accomplish in life? Who can I go speak with? Who can I help out that maybe needs a little bit of support? And so when they talk about creative rest, it's when you feel like you're just stymied, stuck, and you can't get yourself out of it. There's a lot of different things you can do, but creativity comes in a whole lot of different forms. Maybe there's a drawing you can see. Maybe there's a picture, a museum you can go visit. Maybe there's a display, and now so much is online. You can go look at, maybe there's something around your house that you can change, and maybe bring a plant in, or maybe bring a picture in. Just go to an art store or a general Targets or Walgreens and Walmarts, and just look in there, stick it on the wall, kinds of things, and maybe you can find a picture, a painting, or something that inspires you a bit and that kind of lifts you up and may take you out of the hole. But it's what they would define here in the article as creative rest, where you let your brain create some new pathways and some new things that you might find to be very helpful to yourself. And then we've been talking about stress and emotional rest here. So this one, number 6, is emotional rest. We can feel drained by the needs of everyday life and situations. Being upset at work, being something that somebody shared with you that was upsetting to you, maybe a pet that's not doing well, something in your life that may cause you to feel the tension and like, oh my goodness, this is tough, this is going to be hard, how am I going to get through this? And again, the adrenaline kicks in, oh goodness, I'm trying to think of it spikes. I'm at a loss for what that is. But in any case, you spike, and your body tenses up, the fight or flight kicks in. And now you're like, okay, now what do? How am I going to deal with that? And so it's emotional rest, where you just get a chance to sit it down, just recharge yourself. Maybe you want to write it out in a journal. I say, okay, write, like I said, in the middle of the night, I'll get up and write on a piece of paper I always keep handy, and let that just get out of your system, and then let it pass, and then say, okay, if I need to do something I can control, let me take action on it, let me take responsibility and do something about it. But just let that go and not let it just continue to ruminate. Use your creative rest time to maybe figure it out. And then the last one that they write about in the newsletter is social rest. And sometimes, I talk about the importance of not being isolated or alone or having loneliness or isolation. But sometimes maybe you're just so busy going from one thing to another. So this is where we're going to come around and reverse this one, where you feel like you're on the go, you're always going out, you're always meeting people. And I know people that they feel like somebody's not calling them and they're not going out to breakfast or lunch or dinner with somebody. They feel like, oh my God, I'm not important. Sometimes social rest, taking a break, and the flip For those that feel isolated and lonely, now, learn from somebody that's in that boat. So what do they do and how do they do it? So these were the 7 tips, 7 types of rest and why we need all of them. Your physical rest, we talked about. Mental, spiritual rest, sensory rest, creative rest, emotional, and social. And those are the 7 tips that were in the April issue of the Harvard letter. I thought would be worthwhile with sharing with my Laboratory audience. And of course, with all of those rests, now maybe you're ready to compete in the USA Memory Championship, which we'll be doing in July. Have a great week. We're off and going again, and I hope this week can slow down. The last few just have been in hyperactivity, speeding right by us. See you on Wednesday.